Hey everyone, welcome back to JarDev, and Happy New Year! This is going to be another top 5 list. This is going to be the last of the year, also the first of the year, I guess. First of the decade, my god. And it's funny that I say decade, because in this video, I'm going to be going over my top 5 video games of the decade. So that's 2010 to 2019. I saw lots of people have done this on Twitter. I wanted to do a video on it just to kind of talk about some of the games, my reasoning for putting them on here. Although most of them are probably fairly obvious if you know my video game taste. Some of them are just the games I've played the most, some of them are games I've enjoyed the most, some of them are games that have been very inspirational or influential to me as a gamer, a person, a YouTuber. So we'll start off with number 5, and that is Sid Meier's Civilization 5. This was my most played game on Steam for many years. I have 238 hours in it on Steam. And I know there's people out there who have like thousands of hours in things like Dota or games like that. But I have quite a lot of games in my Steam library. 3,706 as of right now. So it takes a lot for me to stick with the game for a long time, and Civ 5 was that game until Dark Souls 3, I think. I remember back in, it was probably 2013, I think. The AGST, who were my favorite YouTube channel, still watch them pretty much every day. They put out a Civ 5 series, and I remember like starting watching it, and I could not figure out what was going on at all. I could barely follow it, but I stuck with the series because I just enjoyed the people in it, and as I watched the series, I started to understand how the game was played. And then I watched, I think, another Civ series after that, and I added it to my Steam wishlist. And then in 2013, there was the Steam summer sale, and the summer sales before refunds. I love refunds, don't get me wrong. But the Steam sales used to have flash sales where games would go on sale for 8 hours and they would drop lower than their regular sale price. So back then you would check the sales every 8 hours to see what the new sale price was. And I remember I'd been keeping my eye on Civ 5 for the whole sale, waiting for it to go on a flash sale to see if it would go even cheaper. And that summer I went to a caravan park with a couple of friends, Jake and Alex from the podcast Cover Me. You can hear me on 2 episodes on that. And there was no Wi-Fi in the entire campground except for at the office, which was at the entrance. So you guessed it, every 8 hours we would walk out there, swatting mosquitoes away, all sunscreened up, and we would check the prices. And while we were there, Civ 5 did go on sale. It was very cheap, I think, for the complete edition, so I picked it up. And that's just quite a good memory. That the whole holiday was very fun. So yeah, Civ 5, mostly because it was my top played game on Steam for years. Number 4 is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This came out a long time ago now. It was 2011. It was 11/11/11, so November 11th, 2011. So it's more than 8 years old now. That's crazy to me that there's still no Elder Scrolls 6, and there's not going to be until like 2022 or something. Oblivion was my first Elder Scrolls game. I think Oblivion is a better game than Skyrim, but Skyrim's a lot easier to play nowadays. Oblivion does look a little bit dated. And I think if Skyrim came out, even like 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think people would look at it too fondly, but 2011, it was very, very good for 2011. There's still not really been anything that tries to do what the Elder Scrolls do. It's funny, like, the Outer Worlds basically did like a better Fallout. It was too short, but it was still good. But it's just weird to me that nobody tries to do a better Skyrim. So I actually only have 123 hours across the 2 versions on Steam, but I did have it for PS3 and I put in loads more hours into it on that. So again, this is probably one of my most played games of all time. I just loved that you could become whoever you wanted in Skyrim. Like I said, I think Oblivion's a better game overall, but Skyrim really was something special at the time, and I haven't played it in a couple years now. I think I did hit my limit of how many times I could replay Skyrim. But you never know, maybe I'll still go back to it in a couple of years as I'm waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 in 2030. Alright, number 3 is Stardew Valley, because that is just such a wonderful game. So I've played this a lot. I have 117 hours in it on Steam, and I did also buy it for Switch, and I think I've put probably about 120 more hours into it on Switch. So it's definitely one of my most played games. This game's sort of a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it's the perfect farming game, basically. But it's also a curse because I don't think I could ever go back to Harvest Moon now. I used to love Harvest Moon, but Stardew Valley is just the best Harvest Moon game there is and probably ever will be. But I mean, it's been out for 3 or so years now, probably, and the developer is still doing pretty significant updates to it. It gets new stories. There's so much mod support for it. You can play with like extended Stardew Valley and basically get another 120 hours out of it. Yeah, I always loved Harvest Moon games growing up, so the fact that Stardew Valley is the best Harvest Moon game, better than actual Harvest Moon, means it has to be on my top games of the decade. And also because it became like probably my favorite series I've ever done on YouTube, was like our 50 something episode series of just highlights of Stardew Valley. I remember that was insane to try and do. We would record for like, I think we were recorded every Monday for like 4 or 5 hours. Really good time. God, I love Stardew Valley. Okay, number 2 is Minecraft. I haven't played Minecraft in years now. Oh my god, 3.5 years. The last time I played it was in May of 2016. But even so, it's still number 2 on my top games of the decade. Mostly because, it's been so influential to video games, but it's also the sole reason I started YouTube. So without Minecraft, I probably wouldn't be talking into this microphone right now. Like I said near the beginning of the video, I was and still am a big Yogscast fan. They obviously made it big from Minecraft, and I started watching them. I played a fair bit of Minecraft before I discovered them, but they definitely inspired me to want to start doing YouTube. Robbie and I used to sit in his room playing Minecraft for hours on end. And there were quite funny things that happened back then, and I do wish we'd been recording like from the very start, but we were just messing around, playing Minecraft until stupid o'clock in the morning. we would play for hours on end. And the first like few months of the YouTube channel was just Minecraft videos. We recorded a ton of Minecraft stuff at the very start. I think if you go back and look at some of the upload dates of the early videos, there would be like 3 or 4 videos released a day, just because we obviously didn't have any subscribers back then. Nobody would be annoyed if we just put out 4 videos a day. So we figured, if somebody finds the channel, they'll find there's a whole series of Minecraft up there already for them to watch. And it's obviously just such a versatile game. There's all the different games modes. There's like all the servers, like Hypixel servers, where you can play Hunger Games, you can play build battle, Pictionary kind of things. You can play all these adventure maps, or you can just play vanilla and survive with friends or by yourself. And then there's the millions of mods for it. It really did change the game industry. Minecraft's a very important game, and that's why it's number 2 for me. And my number 1 game, my top game of the entire decade, people might be able to guess this one. My number 1 game is Dark Souls. Dark Souls is probably the most important series for me as someone who plays video games. Minecraft was the most important for me as a YouTuber, but I think Dark Souls is the most important for me as a gamer. Which is funny because I hated it the first time I played it. I think a lot of people probably do hate Dark Souls the first time they play it. Maybe if they started with Demon Souls back on PS3, they might have kind of struggled their way through it. But for me, I bought it on probably a summer sale, probably the same one from the Civ sale. And I remember that two of my friends back then, Stephen and Ronald, shout out, I know they're not watching, they were both big Dark Souls fans, so this was very early in the channel, so they requested that I do a series on Dark Souls, so I thought, sure, why not, you know, Dark Souls is this really hard game, it'll be good for a laugh, we'll see how much content I can get out of it. And I think I did like 5.5 episodes on it. I think I maybe got to Taurus Demon. I don't know if I even beat it. I can't even search for it now because I've got like hundreds of Dark Souls videos. I'll see if I can find it. Just in case you're wondering, I have about 370 Dark Souls videos on the channel. That's insane. Okay, well the last episode was called Taurus Demon, so I'm guessing I probably didn't even kill it. I did actually kill Taurus Demon in that first series, and I think I got to the bridge with the wyvern and I was just like, fuck this. Fuck off, Taurus Demon. He's gonna kill me right there. Fuck off, I can't see. Yes, fuck you, Taurus Demon, fuck you. And then Dark Souls 2 came out and I just ignored it. But then the same two friends from before, Stephen and Ronald, asked if I would do a Dark Souls 2 series, so I picked that up on, I think it was a winter sale. And I actually remembered that, I think Rydian from the AGST said in 2014 that it was his game of the year. And I remember the footage looked really cool, so I picked it up because it was on sale. And I tried doing a series of that, and I did a lot of videos, but I did not get far at all. I don't know if I even got to Pursuer in those videos, but it was like a 20-part series. It was just ridiculous how much backtracking, and I would like kill some things, get some souls, and go and level up, and I'd left that all in for some reason. And I eventually cancelled that series because it was just getting too lengthy for no progress. It was a pretty bad series in hindsight. But then I think I just kind of struggled through Dark Souls 2 for some reason, just on my own off camera, just played it through. Then Scholar came out, did a playthrough of that, and Dark Souls 3 came out, did a playthrough on that. But I did go back to Dark Souls 1 after beating Dark Souls 2, and it felt so clunky after Dark Souls 2, which is weird to say now, considering Dark Souls 2. But I remember my first full playthrough of Dark Souls 1, it wasn't on the channel, it was just me playing. I did put Cheat Engine on and just went invincible just to finish the game. And then after that I'd done that, I started it again and struggled through it properly that time. And now I can breeze through Dark Souls 1 fairly easily. Ornstein Smog still gives me a lot of trouble. But I mean, like 370-ish Dark Souls videos on the channel basically speaks for itself how important Dark Souls is to me. So it really couldn't have been anything else as my top game of the decade. I hope to God we see a Dark Souls 4. I love all three Dark Souls games. Dark Souls 2 is probably the worst, but each of them have something special to them. Dark Souls 3 I think has the best gameplay. It's the most smooth and fun to play, like mechanics wise. Dark Souls 2, in my opinion, has the best story of all of them. It's probably vaguer than all the other ones, but I really love the story. And Dark Souls 1 definitely has the best level design, as long as we ignore Izalith, and the best like world design. So yeah, I hope to God there's a Dark Souls 4. I hope Elden Ring is good. I know I'm not going to expect Dark Souls because that's probably one of the reasons I disliked Sekiro. There's other reasons too, but I hope Elden Ring's good. But anyway, those were my top 5 games of the decade. Definitely let me know your guys' lists in the comments below. Let me know what you think of my list. Just let me know games from the decade that you liked if you don't want to do a list. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!